like my dog, I have pictures, I can whip that out.
Welcome back to Shack News Live at the E3, at our E3 booth. We're here to talk about Dauntless. Hey guys, how are you doing?
Pretty
How's
good.
your
My dog is great.
So could you quick introduce your roles on the team real quick?
Yeah, so my name is Ian Tournay. I'm the community manager at Phoenix Labs.
And I'm Jesse Houston. I'm the executive producer on Dauntless.
Cool. So first, the big question, the broad question, what is Dauntless? Tell us about Dauntless.
So Dauntless is a co-op action RPG. It's a free-to-play MMO style action RPG. It's all about basically getting together with your friends, hunting these big behemoths, so that you can kind of gather their essence and craft really cool gear, so that you can go and save the world from them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Our world is the Shattered Isles. So there has been a cataclysm. Mankind is surviving, just kind of hanging on these floating islands. The great thing is this substance called aether is keeping the islands up in the air. The bad news is it's also given rise to these things called behemoths, these gigantic beasts. And so as a slayer, it's your job to go out and take down the behemoths before they drain the aether out of the land, causing that to fall out of the sky. So real estate, pretty precious resource. It's important for you as a slayer to get on top of that and save the world.
So it's it's like a magical post-apocalypse kind of, not a sci-fi. Like it sounds
totally.
It sounds fantasy-based, but still kind of post-apocalyptic.
Yeah, we call it science fantasy. So the idea being that there's basically this fifth element, aether, that kind of allows all this stuff to happen. So when you attune aether in the right way, you can attune it to fire or lightning or ice. And it's what makes these airships fly, and what makes these islands float, and makes all the kind of the technology that exists within the world of Dauntless function.
Cool. That's an interesting idea for like a setting. Where did that sort of come from? What was the genesis of that?
I think like when you look at Dauntless, what you're going to see immediately is we have this really colorful, beautiful art style. It's a lot different, when we've made a lot of games over the years, and there's always this kind of drift towards the grim and the dark, the brown, and having the setting allows us to have an art style with a world that's lush and vibrant. It's a world you want to save. It's a beautiful place. Like when you look at the islands, they're verdant, there are things living on them. When you look at Ramsgate, it's a place that's crafted with care, there's craftsmanship. You can tell people really are proud to live there. And so as a slayer, it's a place you're going to want to be. It's a place you're going to want to save.
So are there still people, or civilizations kind of around that? It's not like desolate.
Yeah, no, totally. So the game is set around kind of one of the frontier cities. So there's a bunch of floating islands that exist in the world of Dauntless. We take place on the city of Ramsgate. It's kind of on the fringes of the society. Think of it like kind of San Francisco in like the Wild West, right? Like it's the last port town. Mm-hmm. And it's where kind of the behemoths are starting to encroach on civilization. So it's a little bit more rustic than some of the other islands, but yet it still has a population and an economy, and has all of this kind of trade happening. So it's a really interesting setting for it.
Cool. And so what's the core gameplay loop? I know you said it was an action RPG. When I start up the game, what am I going to be going to do and having a game session?
Yeah. So you're going to log in, and you're going to log into the city of Ramsgate, and there you're going to kind of craft your gear. You're going to do all your personalization, like dyeing your stuff and like making sure that you got the right emotes selected. Then you're going to go into like matchmaking, where you'll choose which hunts that you want to participate in. And like that'll be basically kind of defining which behemoths that you're probably going to want to be fighting. From there you'll fly out to the islands, and once you've landed on the islands, you'll have to go and hunt the behemoths, look around for which you'll be looking for other minerals and gatherables to gather. And then once you've actually encountered the behemoths, you'll get into kind of this very kind of boxing-like experience where you're going to be reading the behemoth, kind of very strategic combat that's kind of I don't want to describe it, like not slow, but very
deliberate.
tactical.
Very tactical, very deliberate, yeah.
And you're going to be basically trying to read the moves of the behemoth, making sure that you're in the right position, attacking the right places.
But it's not turn-based or anything.
No, it's very real-time combat. Taken from the likes of like a Dark Souls style, or like a a Devil May Cry style, right? Somewhere in between those two from a kind of a speed and pacing perspective.
Yeah, with a really big focus on skill. So experienced slayers are going to know those behemoth tells. They're going to know exactly the right combo for the right situation, and they're going to know how to coordinate with their teammates to inflict maximum damage and also keep each other alive. Co-op is a huge part of all of this. I think really at the core of Dauntless is a co-op experience. It is really about finding the people that you love playing with and forging a legend together. You know, you have your own armor, which reflects what you've done, but we're really excited to introduce things like guilds into the game, introduce social elements in the game. They're going to allow you to build a larger story around your group of people.
And you mentioned Dark Souls and Devil May Cry, and you also mentioned deliberate combat. I think that's really something that Dark Souls is known for, is you commit to a swing and you have to really think it through. Is the challenge something else that's reminiscent of Dark Souls?
You know, I want to build a game that skill is a really core component, and recognition of other player skills. Like when we talk about cooperative play and what will differentiate you as a player and how that fantasy plays out, you being able to tell that I'm good at the game, I think really is an important key element to that. You know, if you think about like Dark Souls as an example, like you know it's really hard when you watch that guy do that like level, like the no souls level runs and stuff like that. Like you know that guy's got some skills, and we want to have that same kind of feeling. I don't know if we're going to go to the complete you have died,
like reveling in the challenge.
Maybe not celebrate your obliteration.
You know, a lot of difficulty is a core component. You know, when we went to PAX East this year, for example, one of the behemoths was only beaten 7 times. So like, you know, that kind of tells you, like, at the end of our game, you know, stuff is going to be really hard. At the beginning, it's going to be a little easier. We do want the game to be accessible to players.
Yeah, you need to have like a ramp.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, I think when I think about like kind of challenge and difficulty, being able to ramp into it and being able to learn not only how you will play out, like how to interact with the game, but also how to recognize that skill is super valuable.
Yeah, I think the other thing to mention too is, you know, when we were at PAX, we did only have that behemoth that was beaten 7 times, but everyone that played had a blast.
Yeah.
You know, I think building
even if they wiped, they're like,
exactly. I mean, building a game where it's like you lost, but you know why, and you're just excited to go back and do better. That's what keeps people coming back, and that's what keeps us excited. Is knowing that, like, you know, it's not just something that you kind of come face roll your keyboard and you're like, I did a thing. It's like you're creating your own story, you're creating your own validation, and that's something that you give to yourself like that is more important than something that we can ever give you with like you did a good thing, right? Like being able to know that you're really skillful and you're really good. That's great.
The satisfaction of it.
Exactly.
You mentioned your armor sort of reflecting where you've been and what you've done.
Yeah.
Not to constantly draw comparisons to other games, but that's something that in the lead up to the original Destiny they talked about a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And people felt different ways about whether or not they pulled that off, but how do you keep that loop going and that feed going of like all of your stuff reflects who you are and what you've done?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the core things that, I mean, whenever you talk about anything like that, it's always a push-pull between, okay, well, what does it give you in terms of stats?
Yeah.
What does it give you in terms of look? That's why we're, you know, from really early on, we've talked about transmog. That's something we feel passionately about. The other thing, too, is, you know, we're going to have a great die system. We're going to have systems, and really, like, the weapons that you have are not just like, oh, okay, so this is a sword, and then the next sword is more of a sword, because when you swing, it does more damage. It has a different feel. It has a different special attack. It has all these different elements that not only make you more powerful, but allude to a play style.
It also, I mean, it also helps reflect, you know, each of the armors help reflect the behemoth that you are becoming. So like, you know, if you kill, so the behemoth is currently playing right there, that's Grave, and it's like, you know, this big owl bear. One of the attacks that it does rends you, and you know, part of when you start completing that armor set, some of the set bonuses also add that rending capability. So you actually start to not only look and feel like the behemoth, but you also start to be able to act like it as well. And then that gives the ability for the players to really truly kind of become legend, rather than just simply like, I have, you know, +1 or +5, right?
Did you call that thing an owl bear? Was that,
yeah.
Is that its official name?
No, I mean, it's like like it's kind of alluding back to like the D&D style owlbear. So like basically Scrave's like a kind of a mix between like what would happen if like a bear and an owl got together and then we poured like a ton of Aether on it and grew it to like 30 feet long.
There's been an apocalypse. We're not judging. Like any love that can bloom
Make
in this
it
world
work.
is
Yeah,
beautiful.
make it work, people.
Absolutely, yeah.
So you had mentioned an alpha before. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so we're super excited. We're very proud to announce if you have purchased or you decide to purchase a Dauntless Founders Pack, which you can learn more about at playdauntless.com, we're going to be starting our Founders Alpha on August 18th. That means you can get
right around the corner. Is
right
that like,
around the corner.
Is that like scary close for you guys?
It's exciting close. There, I did it.
Yeah.
I hear the
Exciting
fear and excitement coming to the same place.
Yeah,
That's
let
great.
me check the level up. Oh no, that is a little scary. Okay, so no, we're super. We couldn't be more excited. We've been running a tech alpha. We've had thousands of people already play the game. We've been getting a huge amount of feedback. We've been improving. Come August 18th, we're going to open it up to everybody. We're going to be lifting our NDA. That means you're going to see people streaming the game, creating content for the game. We've got people ready. We've got people on Twitch who love my boy Domestic Dan. If you're watching, what's up? He's going to be helping us create recipes, great snacks to play while you're making Dauntless. I mean, like, we're just so excited to see what people are going to create, and it all is going to kick off on August 18th.
So how many people are in it right now, just in this test bed phase?
Yeah, we've got a few over 9,100 folks right now, plus minus, who are playing basically twice a week. We open up the servers. We've actually been running all E3 with the folks when we've been showing it to people and stuff like that. It's been awesome getting to play with the testers. But yeah, we've been running now 2 months, give or take.
Give or
It was
take.
a little over 2 months.
So it's like a community test bed now, basically.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. We put the call out a couple of months ago saying, hey, if you want to play, send us your DirectX diag and like what games you like playing and when you're available, and then we were able to pick from that and bring in a bunch of people.
And we can't thank those testers enough. Like, we threw them right into the deep end. We're like, all right, you're gonna see, you're gonna do an alpha. And I think like nowadays you see things where it's like, oh, it's a beta. It's like, it's like a beta. It's like when we drop, when we like drop you in the world and then you fall through it. It's like, oh, collision. Like,
this is an alpha, as in like an actual alpha.
Yeah, welcome to a real alpha. And these guys have been nothing but supportive. The amount of feedback that we get that's actionable, that's supportive. I mean, even the criticism we get, which you have to get, has been so focused and so useful. I think that what these guys have done is going to improve Dauntless for years to come, and we couldn't be more thankful.
So what kind of feedback have they given? What's something that they've given that you're like, oh, that's a good point, we should change this, or we should.
One of the biggest ones factually was around ranged weaponry. So we originally, when we designed Dauntless, and we really envisioned it as a melee combat game, and there was this kind of constant outpour of, hey, what could range, we want range. And so we actually ended up taking that on. Some other stuff, like kind of more tactically speaking, like, so we have a great axe in the game. It's a charge-based weapon. It's actually really hard to use. And we ended up finding that, through the feedback, we found really new and interesting ways of actually making the ramp into it much better. The beginning of the game has been revamped 3 times now with different, which behemoths we're using. We're on another iteration right now coming down the pipe. Like, it's been super awesome where it's like, hey, cool, we're gonna reset everything. Give us some feedback on this. Oh, hey, can you go kill this one behemoth like as many times as you can? And like, we're able to like look at all the stats and like,
for example.
Right?
Yeah, well, and I mean, like, you get all this great technical feedback, but I think the thing that's the most, I just gotta say, like, our community is amazing. It's gotta be one of the most friendly online communities there is. So supportive, and so of course, you get the really good solid feedback, like, oh, maybe 5% more this, or maybe this could be like this, and then you get things like, why is there a ram on the roof in the city? And then they all want to name it, so we have to have a contest to name the roof ram, and then just all of the
roof ram's a feature now, just to be clear.
Oh yeah, roof ram is canon.
Yeah.
Like
that's in the
it's
game
on the box, baby.
It's like you've got 9,000 like extra developers, sort of like helping.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We're bringing extra people
on.
No,
it's really cool because they give a really awesome perspective of like, hey, how does it? It really comes from the heart and the feel rather than, as a developer, one of the challenges can be like you look at it from the light of like how we would build it, or what the technical challenge is, or when I'm up at 3 in the morning envisioning what something could be like. It's sometimes hard to just be like, well, this is what it feels like as a player, and so they always come at it from that perspective, and it's really refreshing to have that kind of very quick and instant reflection, and it's awesome.
And you mentioned you wanted to have a ramp. Obviously, there's a high skill ceiling. It sounds like, but you wanted to ramp up neatly from there. What's sort of the challenge of developing something that has that, like, easy to learn, very difficult to master kind of combat?
Well, it comes in a couple of folds. I mean, one is like, how do you build systems that, where mastery is a key component of it without necessarily making mastery be completely overpowered. So as an example, like dodge, we have iframes on our dodge. So like when you dodge, there's a period of time where no matter what happens, the behemoth can't hurt you or other effects in the game can't hurt you. Well, at some point, that basically becomes, like, if you are, like, there's this dude Cyrus, he's like one of the best players in the game right now.
Cyrus?
Go Cyrus. This is a dude who like ran like headlong into everything and like just completely crushes it. He's like one of the best dodge rollers I've ever seen, right? And one of the problems is, like, he can just dodge everything, right? So now we have to think about new and different ways of, like, well, hey, how do we present challenge without simply just being bigger damage numbers?
Right.
And that's really cool. It actually forces us to kind of get into that mindset, which is really awesome.
Yeah. The other side of the coin too, right, is, I mean, that's the high end. We also see a lot of people who, they're like, oh, I like the art style, I like the combat, I like where this is going. Maybe they're not as used to challenging games. And the thing that we've seen, though, that happens that's been so encouraging is our community rushes up to meet those people and say, hey, let's go on some hunts together. Let's get going. And so, like, what you start to see, these people that start off with really low win percentages, as they start partying up, which we're making easier and easier, you see those win percentages just blossom. And
their engagement, numbers go up. Actually, one of the most interesting things. So we're, I like to say we're like unabashedly cooperative. Like, this game is built to be played with a party. We don't heavily invest in like trying to create an offline solo experience. Like, in fact, you can't play the game offline, and we're totally fine with that. But one of the coolest part about that is, like, when folks do get stuck, other folks, and we're creating all these systems that allow other folks to feel rewarded for kind of helping other folks around, or kind of get through the content. And then they end up going and doing the same thing. And I'm trying to remember the member of the community who came back and he's like, I'm really stuck on this behemoth, and I think he's just too darn hard. And then this kind of other group who is a lot more advanced than him kind of came in. They helped them through it, and then now he's actually like forming groups to just simply do that and like carry folks up the chain and give us feedback also on, hey, this part's too hard. Here's how I had to help, which is super cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's like altruistic.
Yeah,
it's
totally.
Awesome. Yeah.
And, I mean, I don't think you find that in experiences outside of like cooperative PvE. I've never, like, in all the games that I've made, like, I've never found that specific thing happening outside of there.
Yeah. So I want to ask about something that we were talking about before we started here, and I'm going to botch the name, I know, but
that's all right.
The creation.
The Dauntless partner program, our content creator program.
Content creators, okay.
Yeah. So it's a brave new world since Jesse and I started working in video games. Like, the way to get your message out was a trailer. It was really cool if people liked your trailer. Over the years, what we've seen, of course, is the rise of things like Twitch. We've seen the rise of communities, and we love that. You see things that are really kind of disappointing, like content creator claims that get slapped onto fan-created videos. Every time we see that, we're just like, man, that hurts for everyone. That doesn't feel good as a developer. It doesn't feel good as a publisher. It doesn't feel good as a creator. Like, how are we going to make that work? And so what we decided is, as soon as we wanted to announce our content creator program. So if you're a content creator, a YouTuber, Twitch streamer, if you're a cosplayer, if you're a blogger, if you're a wiki creator, it doesn't matter what you make. If you want to invest in Dauntless and be a passionate member of the Dauntless community, we want to work with you. And so you can go to our Twitter account, which is Play Dauntless. We've got a link up there where you can apply. We got really excited. We announced it because like we said, we want to announce it as soon as possible. We're working on a formal website. We've got just a little Google survey you can fill out right now to let us know that you're interested. And we're just really looking forward to working with everyone. And what we really want to do is provide unprecedented access to the resources that people need to succeed. Yeah. So this isn't just like, all right, you're a partner, now you're featured in the patcher. This is, let's get you the right assets. Let's make it so you can interview people. Let's make it so that you can play games with Phoenix Labs. Let's make it so you can play games with the best people playing Dauntless. Let's give you access to tools so you can watch replays and create amazing trailers for us and with us and next to us. And it's just, I'm just so excited because what I'm already seeing is a passion for creating things in this game, and I think we have no intention of hitting the brakes, and I can't wait to see where it goes.
I mean, it sounds like you guys taking the lead and having such like a positive outreach to fans is paying off and creating a really positive community.
Absolutely.
Where people are
Well, I mean,
being nice to each other on the on
what
the
a
internet.
revelation!
Which
I
is
know,
crazy.
right?
Surprisingly nice to each other on the internet. And,
Yeah.
you know, the reality is we're also part of the community, right? Like I hang out on our community Discord every night. I play video games with these folks. I'm playing PUBG constantly with a group of folks who play who've been with us since the minute we announced, and like they're a great community. I want to be buddies with them. I want to be with them. Like our studios, like everybody's there. It's a game that we're not only building for us, but we're building for them as part of them too.
Yeah.
So Dauntless is going opening itself up in just like a couple short months.
Yeah, I mean, as open as we can be. I mean, we honestly, we're so excited to get everybody in. Again, August 18th. That's when everyone's going to be able, who's a founder, that's going to be able to play. After that, we're going to go into our closed beta, and then we're going to be open beta by the end of the year.
Great.
Free to play. And so if you're curious if any of this sounds good to you, even if you play and you don't love it, let us know so that we can help you. We can help turn Dauntless into something you do love, because we just want to, like Jesse said, we just love playing with people.
Great. Well, it's been great talking to you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Really
much.
pleasure.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
And we'll be back with more from the Shack News E3 booth in just a minute.